can't believe it. I can't believe it. You can't make this up. I can't believe we are having this conversation. I've been sitting on this soapbox for quite some time. It's a soapbox that I never wanted to have the conversation for because it's too brain dead simple. Like, it is too simple. Why are we having this conversation? We're talking about, once again, why aren't players paid more? In the FGC in particular. Other games do it. So why not the fighting game community? I can't believe it, because for some reason, apparently, staff and TOs aren't just making buku dollars, which doesn't make sense. Literally just does not make sense. Let's start this off real quick here with some simple, just play a little number game, right? You want higher pots. Bring in more players. Simple. Bring in more players to sign up for your events. That's all you gotta do. Spread the word, tell your friends, have more people come in and sign up. That's gonna go right to the pot. And even a little help from pot funding programs, whether that be like what Capcom did with their Capcom Pro Tour packs, going right to the funding of the Capcom Pro Tour. And even back in the day, which I mentioned in a previous video as well, Killer Instinct did the exact same thing with selling skins for Shadow Jago that provided a pot for the KI World Cup. Here's the other kicker, right? We want to talk about some quick math. This comes right off the top from Rick himself. $700,000, just over $700,000 to host Combo Breaker at the Schaumburg Convention Center. So let's think about that here. Let's say each ticket to get in is $100. That's just that ticket money. That's not even talking tournaments you register for. That is literally just $100 per entrant. And we say 3,000 people attended, because that is the list. If you want to check it out, right here on Combo Breaker, we're looking at a number of 2,968. There was more people, but let's just say this was 3,000 people that did actually attend. We're talking $300,000. If we maxed that out to the most allowed entrants of the tournament, which was 6,000 if I remember correctly. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's listed in this as well. That 6,000 people is a register cap. Look at that, 6,000 registrants. So do that math real quick. That's $600,000. That's not even anywhere near the $700,000 cost to host the event at the convention center. Really simple. Easy. That's so we didn't hit that, right? So where does the rest of the money come? How do we afford this? I mean, because clearly staff makes so much money. I mean, if that's the case, why are we playing the games? Why don't you all just run brackets? You want more money? Run brackets. If you do truly believe that the staff is getting paid more than players, or that they're taking money from players, stop playing the games, run the brackets. Simple. It's quite simple. On top of that, let's think about, I do want to pull out, like, some folks are like, well, it's too much money. You know, like, we could increase the entry fee, right? From $10 to, say, maybe $20. That's a risk that you might want to take as well, to try to increase the pot. And that's an arbitrary, like, increase as well. You're still going to increase the players, but that percentage might also drop in actual attendees if you increase the entry fee for a tournament. And that's separate from the ticket to get into the event. We're talking the tournament itself. The Street Fighter bracket is normally $10. Let's say this year it is $20 to compete. So then that money also then drops, because you're going to have less players trying to do it, unless if they already believe in the value of that $20. So let's look at other games. Or actually, before we even look at other games, let's look at other events that are similar to Combo Breaker, or the style of Combo Breaker, like CEO, for example. Because if you look at CEO tickets and the registration there, we're talking $90 for early bird, $95 for standard, and $110 for late registration. That's $110. Let's take a quick gander at that Rooster Teeth Expo. Rooster Teeth Austin costs about $145 to even get into. Unfortunately, Rooster Teeth Austin, actually this isn't even the page, but this one right here is. Look at that. They're sold out, but $98 for a weekend badge. And then also additional perks depending upon what type of events and folks you want to see things you want to do, how much of a fan you are. Upwards of $1,500 for the Ultra badge, to get you some additional swag on top of that. That's the difference that you're looking at here. All right, 98 looks great just for your weekend to get a bag, lanyard, and a 1 autograph ticket access code and 3 advanced panel registrations. Whereas, you pay the buku dollars, you get more perks, including guaranteed entrance, early access. You get more perks for the higher you pay. Cool. So CEO, again, not that expensive for the type of venue that you're going to. Let's think about another event that's also a pretty big venue, EVO. $80 to get in at the early bird registration. Still stupidly cheap to even bother getting in. But on top of that, we have to think about the ticket to get into the arena, and that is $85 to get in. So at a bare minimum, to experience all of EVO, you're looking at $165 and some change. That's not including the competition registration. So like your Guilty Gear is also $10 to register. That remains the same across the board. That's an expensive arena. That's the Michelob Ultra Arena, whatever that beer is. It's a beer. Michelob? Michelob? I don't drink that beer is what I'm basically getting at. Anyways, let's take a look at another event. In comparison, PAX East. $150. I think that was for the entire weekend. This has already been passed. This is April 21st of this year. But let's look at the upcoming event, PAX Australia. Those tickets, you're looking at $175 for the 3-day badge. You can get individual badges at $70 a pop. Now, I compare these events to CEO and EVO Combo Breaker because those events are in the style of like the convention style of event. They're, yes, tournaments that are happening. Same thing with PAX. They also have tournaments, but they also have vendors you can check out and also different panels you can visit. At Combo Breaker and CEO, CEO definitely has way more panels to check out. They did that previously at the Daytona Arena, which was great. And unfortunately, not enough room at the Windheim. I could be totally wrong on that. Feel free to correct me, but I don't believe there was any panels in the years that CEO was at the Windheim in Orlando. But at the Daytona Convention Center, they absolutely did have that. They even had a mixer one year as well. So you get a little bit extra for your attendance there. Even at EVO. EVO for sure had panels. You had various vendors you could visit. Some great opportunities to check out upcoming fighting games with booths there. Actually, even at Combo Breaker, you could check out the Capcom Fighters Collection early, which was really cool. And even still at CEO one year, you could check out Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite early. So these are additional perks that you kind of get at PAX, but this is a very focused experience in fighting games, whereas PAX and Rooster Teeth Expo, you're talking about a whole culmination of games and a lot of vendors coming through. And also, a lot of those vendors are paying for spots at the event. So that also helps cover the cost of the actual rental of the space for the event as a whole. So trying to make it into the black on these events is a very difficult task to do. It's a very difficult ask, especially when you think about how niche fighting games are. Like, the attendance in general is a thin slice of just the overall player base. So to think that fighting games are going to make a bunch of money, or they do currently make a bunch of money, is inherently false. It's not too much to ask for the prices that they put out when you consider the types of things that you're going to be able to experience there. And a lot of people like to pull other games. So let's take a look at Halo. This is the most recent example I can really think of. The Halo HCS series, or Halo Esports, they also have an open bracket system, much like literally League has an open bracket system. In Halo, you have an opportunity to qualify at previous events. So if you take a look at HCS Orlando Major, which is happening the 23rd through the 25th, it has pool play and an open bracket leading a championship bracket. The final qualifying set is going to be 20 pool play teams, 8 from North America, EU, etc., Mexico. But at the end of the day, there's only going to be 12 teams that are secured in pool play, which is securing you this prize pool of $250,000, including crowdfunding. And that comes from in-game microtransactions. If you've been playing Halo Infinite, you can purchase like your cosmetics, and even the HCS specific products as well on there, which I would imagine they're cutting a percentage there. You can also scroll up on this list here. This is on Halo Waypoint's website. They have news on it as well. So you can actually scroll up and see that they have a 10% cut on your ticket, where they give you a 10% discount as well. That discount gives a team 10%, so you can choose whichever team you want to support, from like Sentinels or even Optic Gaming as well, and that gives that team additional funds to send the players out to these events and potentially win these pots. Now, the open brackets, you're like, oh, see, there it is, right there, $250,000 for participating in this tournament. Well, there's also a lot of open brackets that lead up to this to even bother qualifying for something like this, which have smaller prize pots for a team of 4, $2,000. $2,000 split between 4 people. Do I need to do math again? It's $500 a person. Cool. I saw one tweet going around that, somebody only made like $1,000 on a bracket or whatever, which is a lot of money. You're thinking about like a single individual. It's not as much as like you look at your Fortnite plans, which is funded literally by players playing that game and making those purchases. But if you want higher pots, you're looking at invitationals. So it's kind of a different experience entirely. You're not going to have your open brackets. You're going to be having specific personalities invited to events like Summit. What was it? The NRS Pro Series as well. The Mortal Kombat Pro Series invited only a certain amount of people, like where we sent players out. And it was a great production, but those players participated in a very closed event that was only for them. Additional sponsors also help supplement those costs, like I said at the top, especially for packs as well. They can also help with boosting pots. We've seen that happen where like Intel will show up and be like, we're going to donate another $5,000 to this event. But the key factor in open brackets is to qualify for the main events that do have those large dollars. You can also look at like, even in sports, right? You're not just going to qualify for the big pot bonuses. You have to prove yourself through a qualifying round. Which is these open bracket events. Now, there is a lot of conversation to be had around whether or not we go super esports, right? Like whatever, like the invitational only. Well, we'll lose grassroots. Well, you can't necessarily have your cake and eat it too. There's only a certain percentage of players that are ever going to hit that possible $100,000 pot bonus if that ever happened, right? It's the same players that are currently winning right now. Yes, they're going through a lot of work, and even Evo, we saw that happen where players went through a ton of work, played a ton of games, wasn't enough money to fund them through that. And we have to start thinking of things like Matcherino helping out a lot of these players, which not every game had a Matcherino. And the legalities around that, I'm not 100% accurate. And again, I'm not an expert on opening and running an event, but at least like the math involved is right there in front of your face. You can figure out that no, there was no money to be made out of an event when you look at the attendees there, and when you look at who's coming out. And again, at the end of this, if you really truly believe you're gonna make more money than a player by working a weekend at an event, I highly encourage you to do so. Go for it. Go run a bracket. Do it. That's all I got on my soapbox, really. It's absolutely insane that we're having this conversation again. It's ridiculous. The math is in front of you. Until next time, I'm Alex. You can follow me at Zero Syndicate on Twitter. A little bit of editing because I doxed myself on accident. It's not good. That's all I got. Stay healthy out there and have a good time. Later days, everybody.